What's up? This is your boy Stephen The Levite, and you're watching The Musicionary with Randy Mason on JesusWire.com.
What's up, y'all? My name is Randy Mason, and this is The Musicionary on JesusWire.com, where it's all about the message, the music, the ministry, and the money. Nah, not sure. The Musicionary. What's the Musicionary? The Musicionary is a combination of a musician and missionary, and basically it's anyone who is using music to share the message of Christ. And so I couldn't think of a more fitting person to premiere this column with than our guest today, one of the dopest MCs in hip-hop, period, and someone that I admire not only as an artist, but as a man, a husband, and a father. Lamp Mode recording artist, CHH vet, Stephen The Levite.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No doubt. Thank you for taking time out to kick it with us on The Musicionary.
Oh, no problem, man. My pleasure.
Nice. So, I know you're from Cali, right?
Yep.
Then you relocated to Philly and did a lot of time there, and now you're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So what's that about? What brings you to Brooklyn?
Well, so, a lot of people know I was part of a church in Philly called Epiphany Fellowship. Started about 9 years ago. And, 2.5 years ago, they announced that they were going to be starting another church in Brooklyn. My wife loves Brooklyn. She came here for a field trip, like in 10th grade, and just fell in love with Brooklyn and always wanted to come back. Our daughter's name is Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? She's 4 years old. And so, when we found out that they were going to be planning the church, we looked at each other and we knew what it was. Like, we got to go. So, so we started making our plans, and 7 months now, we moved here, and now it's on and popping. So Epiphany Church started, and we're going to be doing a couple pre-launch services in the next couple months and officially launching next month. So
awesome.
Yeah. So it's been dope, man. We're really digging being here and just trying to get to learn the city. And I've been driving for Uber and Lyft, so I'm learning the city both geographically and socially, because I'm meeting people and I'm driving all throughout the city. So
right.
So it's been good, man. It's been dope.
Nice. So what is your role in the church planting process? Like, what are you doing there on the reg?
Basically, I'm just helping out. A lot of the same stuff I was doing at Epiphany, setting up chairs and stuff like that. Kind of leading in that area. But it's still fresh, so there's not a whole lot to do yet. I mean, there's a lot to do, but there's not a whole lot of responsibilities or I'm the leader of this ministry and I got 5 people that are under me and all this kind of stuff. So it's still kind of getting established, and but it's still cool just to be a part and just to help out. Be a generalist, as my old pastor, Pastor E, used to put it. When a church first starts, everybody's kind of a generalist. They just do whatever they can.
Right.
And as it grows and gifts become more evident, you kind of specify what the roles are. So I'm kind of a generalist right now. So
okay, I can dig it. Yeah, that resonates with me with the church planting, because I'm part of a church plant in the Bronx, Elements Church.
Okay.
And so we've been in there, from knocking down walls and painting to, setting up nursery and different ministries and stuff like that. So that process has been really, really cool for my family as well. New to us and really cool for us too. So what are your favorite things thus far? I know it hasn't been even a year yet, and least favorite thing about Brooklyn.
My favorite thing about Brooklyn, I don't know. It's hard to pick one thing. I kind of like the cultural diversity. You have a lot of just different kinds of people, and it's just interesting. Just coming in from the outside, seeing the diversity and the way that the people who have been here their whole lives, and how that interacts with people who are just coming here because of gentrification and stuff like that.
Right.
And just seeing how the two mesh together, and it's just interesting just to observe and be a part of that. And but I really enjoy, just the people and the culture and the food and all that kind of stuff, and
nice.
The accessibility, just just the nature of the city.
Okay.
But my least favorite thing would probably be Manhattan traffic.
Yeah.
Even though that's not Brooklyn, but that's my least favorite
City,
thing.
right? Yeah. That's why we took the train down here. We were like, man,
yeah.
I'm not dealing with that today. Okay. So church life, music, obviously, career musician, and family life, husband, father. How do you balance the three?
It's tough, especially like just moving here. I mean, Brooklyn is kind of infamous for having expensive rent. More so Manhattan, but even in Brooklyn now, like with gentrification and stuff, rent is really expensive. So it kind of creates this new kind of philosophy for work. A lot of people are like out hustling. You know what I'm saying? Most people I meet have 2 or 3 jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like
right.
It's just normal. Like they're used to the idea of having my money going to rent. So it's been difficult kind of bringing music back to the picture since I've been trying to figure out how am I going to pay this rent. You know what I'm saying? So I've been working and driving a lot. But recently I've been trying to bring music back in the picture, like writing in between rides and stuff like that. And, just thinking through what the next move is and stuff like that. And, and even, from the gate, like what's good about Uber and Lyft is like the flexibility of the schedule. So I'm able to, if I need to take off to pick the kids up from school, I can do that.
Right.
I try to make sure that I'm home, between like 3 and 4 and until the evening when the kids go to sleep. So I'm available when they are, what I'm saying? So I try to make sure that I make time for my family and I'm not just out working all the time or stuff like that. So but it is difficult though. Like I said, especially here in New York. Like I don't know how everybody does it. I'm still like kind of taking notes. I'm like, so how does this work for you? Like, what do you do? But yeah.
Nice. I hear that a lot. For me, and I can totally relate. I have 5 kids, obviously married, and same deal. Ministry, church, music, all these things. So it is very challenging. For me, I find that just being ultra intentional about everything. For me, like that's the resolution about everything. Like almost obsessively. You know what I mean? Like schedule wise, and just trying to do that.
Yeah.
So fast paced, New York City, you know what I mean? But which is also why it's super important to unplug.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Just get alone and the quiet time with God. And so what is the Cool Creatives pop up shop all about? I've been seeing that a bunch on like Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my wife, she owns her own business, Artso, where she tries to highlight and promote good art. And so the Cool Creatives idea was something that she had. Where she can kind of like physically manifest like an online magazine, kind of like, where she can kind of showcase different artists and what they do, in a place where people can come and look at and meet the people and what they do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I know you good. So, it's a place where they can, show up, actually, like, see the clothes or see the photography or see the artwork and actually, like, look at it, buy if they like it, mingle with the artists themselves, the people who created it. It was just a cool event. She had it, like, a couple months ago, and the turnout was dope. DJ Why Not was there, and he was on the ones and twos, and
nice.
We had some gluten free baked goods and stuff like that because my wife, she doesn't mess with gluten and dairy and stuff like that. So so it was dope. It came out really well, and a lot of people really enjoyed it. So she's gonna try to continue and do that more often. So
that's awesome. Very cool. We got to make it out to one.
It
looks dope, man. It looks very Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a good thing. I love that. You know what I mean? The arts in New York City it's important that we continue to put that out there. You know what I mean? For the public. So, what's the difference between a Muslim beard and a Christian beard?
The person wearing it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too, cause like when people hear that I'm from Philly, they're like, oh yeah, that explains the beard. I'm like, well, I mean, I would have had it anyway.
Right.
I've never liked shaving, so, um, but yeah, like, I've noticed that the Muslims they tend to just not cut it at all. Either that or they like don't really trim the neck like that. But for me, I always try to keep my neck clean, um, but other than that, I'm not sure. They
Yeah.
might use different oils than I do. I use
Right.
coconut oil. They got some. They always got. The Muslims of Philly. They would always have like we got oils. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They got
Right.
like all different kinds of colors and flavors and all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm just like I'm cool with coconut oil. I'm good.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah.
So there's no theological answer to that.
No, I mean
No.
other than Jesus had a beard.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it's funny too because I'm like it. It's funny to me because they assume that I'm a Muslim,
Right.
but I'm like Jewish dudes don't cut their beards either.
Right.
Like you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like how come you don't think I'm Jewish? Like you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
But
Indeed.
it's hilarious.
Indeed. Yeah, man. So yeah, I told wifey, I was like, I got one question on here. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. That's gonna be the joint.
Hilarious.
So that's it. So Can I Be Honest?
Mm-hmm.
Amazing album, great work of art. I love it. I think it's quite even revolutionary in some sense with the subjects and the depth that you went in on those subjects, particularly marriage, sex, intimacy, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
The writing process for that. What were and are the implications of writing such a personal record, like emotionally, spiritually?
Well, for me, it was just where I was at the time. All the previous albums, I had like theological burdens that I wanted to communicate, and this burden is theological too. But like I felt like the way that I needed to communicate this burden had to be more practical. With other albums, it was like um, the church is too traditional, or my part of the church isn't traditional enough. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or it was just or some bad theology that made me mad. So I tried to smash it. So I felt like I couldn't just talk theology fans and get them to live theology.
Right.
I felt like I had to demonstrate it for them. And so Can I Be Honest is the product of that. It's me saying, well, this is how I've been trying to live out my marriage, my mission in my church. Like it's basically a lot of the practical outworkings of the content that you hear on The Last Missionary.
Right.
So it was my way of saying, look, this is what it looks like for me.
Right.
I know you guys want to hear more doctrine, but this is what the doctrine looks like.
Right.
And like I said, I couldn't just talk more. I couldn't just do another Last Missionary and say, hey, you guys didn't get it last time. I want you to do this stuff. Like I felt like this. I need to demonstrate. I need to show them practical ideas. This is what it looks like for me to submit to my wife in this way, or to listen to her, to be, cater to her needs and stuff like that, or, this is how we deal with arguments that we have. This is how we deal with, and I think Honeymoon was the one joint that was more of a theological, me actually teaching about it. It was the one song that was kind of like that, me actually like teaching, but even in that, I was like, I'm talking about it because we don't talk about it enough. And I felt like I had to establish the theological foundation before I could go into depth about practical anything with that. So yeah, so it was more of like me kind of just being like, this is where I'm at. This is where this is what I think about right now. This is what's consuming my thoughts. And so this is what I feel like I should write about. And and it was definitely difficult because not a lot of the content was easy. And even just in our genre, when you're dealing with lyrical theology fans, they're really critical about content.
Right.
And, you're always like, dang, are they actually going to like this? Or are they going to think that I'm jumping on the bandwagon with a cray? Or, what I'm saying? Like, what are they going to think about this project and how are they going to receive it? And, I think whenever you're trying to do revolutionary work, you might lose some fans. You might lose the attention of a couple people who think you're doing something different.
Right.
But I felt like it was necessary to do it anyway, just because it was something that Christian hip hop needed. There was no voices for, when I argue with my wife, this is how we resolve it, and what what I'm saying, or my wife has been raped or molested. Like, how do I function through that?
Right.
So like I said, it was just where I was and what I felt needed to be said, and so I said it, and now it's out there. So
right. That's awesome, man. Using the arts to illustrate those, or
Mhm.
that theology. You know what I mean? The visual I have in my head is like my pastor, for instance. I hear him preach on Sunday, but I don't necessarily go home with him on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Throughout the week. But with this album, it's kind of like you brought folks, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
home with you,
Yeah.
out of the church, and like, hey, this like you just explained. So that's really dope, man. Talking about reception and fans, like, so
Mhm.
how was that? Like, were people like, yo, what is this? Or like, how was the reception?
It's been interesting.
Mhm.
It was definitely very different from previous albums. It was the first time I had like criticism on the net, and I was like, "What's this talking about?" Like, you don't even like, you know what I'm saying? Like, kind of getting frustrated. Like, yo, but you didn't even hear the whole album yet. Like, they heard frenemies, and they're like, "He didn't really talk about Jesus like that." And I'm like, but like, get the context of the album, and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to like dealing with the idea of again, like, is he on the same bandwagon with Lecrae now? Like, what's he doing? And and a lot of the false perceptions of the bandwagon of Lecrae anyway.
Right.
But like, I think for the most part there was a lot of people who got it and they understood it and they walked away with it like, yo, this album is great. I love it. It's helping my marriage. And I've gotten that feedback like, yo, it's helped out my marriage and stuff like that. We're doing so much better now. I'm not watching porn anymore. Stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, that's amazing.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the answer to prayer. But I think on the flip side, though, when I look at the numbers, it looks different. You know what I'm saying? It didn't sell as much as previous albums. And there's some single people who are like, I just couldn't get with it. Then, but on the flip side, there was some single people who were like, yo, I still love the album.
Right.
Honeymoon's still my favorite track. And I'm like, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Because like, single people need to know this stuff too, because they need to know what they're walking into when they finally do get married. Right. So it's been interesting. It's been like a blessing, and like also like kind of seeing the other side of it where people like couldn't really transition that well.
Right.
But again, like, I knew that like, there's a lot of lyrical theology fans that are super critical about content, and that they're not really living out their theology as well as that they would like us to think they are.
Right.
So I had a feeling going into it that, look, they might not get with this project. You know what I'm saying? And like, but are you gonna continue to do the same stuff the same way and think that people are gonna grow? And I don't think that's possible. Like, you gotta like. You don't spoon feed the baby like forever. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you're like, look, here's the spoon. You know what I'm saying? And this is my way of saying, like, look, here's the spoon. Like, you got to figure it out.
Right.
Like, we can't spoon feed the theology on every project. At some point, you got to be willing to jump into it. Find the like we've given you enough theological understanding over the last few albums for you to be able to pick up something that's not as explicit theologically.
Right.
And be able to find the theology in it because it's obvious. You know what I'm saying? Like, or at least it's obvious for me as I'm writing it.
Right.
And it's obvious for people who understand how marriage and theology like go together, So yeah, that was my way of trying to help people grow up.
Awesome. Praise God. So we talk about the reception and the difference between the albums. When was the last date you went on with Wifey?
Oh, what's it called?
Hope she don't see
I know,
this.
right? I know, right? She we're supposed to be going on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. But before that, it's been a minute because it's been really busy and I've been working a lot. But the last one I can remember, we went. Oh, it wasn't that long ago. It was last month. We went to there's a park out in Williamsburg where you can you go out and it's like you can look over the water and you can see like the Manhattan Bridge and the Williamsburg Bridge. And, we just kind of sat there and talked and stuff like that. And I got her I let her get some gluten-free cupcakes from Clementine.
Nice. Dope.
And that was all she wanted. It was cool. So.
Very cool. Yeah. I'm trying to step my game up in that department as well. And your album is helping.
That's what's up.
Word up. Yeah. I won't bore you with our last date, but yeah, man. So speaking of Wifey, tell us about Our Sexual Healing.
Oh,
ministry. I don't know. You
would call it that. Ministry, business, brand, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a byproduct of Can I Be Honest? After the album came out, we noticed that it was the content was something that we kind of needed to continue with, even if the album kind of, you know, like isn't, in popular rotation anymore.
Right.
We wanted the content of it to continue in a more tangible way for even people who don't like hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, so we just started doing this Periscope thing, and we would talk with people, and we would have different subjects, and we would do Q&A, and just talk about sex and marriage and all that kind of stuff that Christianity is kind of known for dodging. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like real taboo.
Right.
But at the same time, like the Bible talks about it a lot.
Right.
And it's so vital. I've noticed since we started doing it, I've started realizing how like sex education in the States works. What usually happens is sex education in the schools is bad. Sex education in the church is bad, but porno is popular. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so people aren't learning about sex from the church, and they're not learning it well from school anyway. They're getting the biology of it, but they're not really getting like a good foundational information. But but porn is trying to teach everybody about sex, and everybody's learning from porn what sex is. So like, unless the church is going to step up and like really do their job of educating people about this creation that God gave them and has authority over in a way that He would want it to be communicated, then we're all going to fall short, because we're not even asking each other about stuff that we do in the bedroom, because we're all private and stuff like that. But if we can make it more of a normal part of our conversation, then we can have more open dialogue about it, and we can come to each other when we have issues and stuff like that, as opposed to it being this thing that's real private, or we go to porn, or we go to some secular psychologist or something like that, or we just hide it, you know what I'm saying, and never talk about it. So we've been trying to create a place where the conversation is normal. And people can come and ask questions, and we can kind of field the questions in a way that we think is biblical and helpful. So.
Right. Wow. Well, I commend you guys on that. I think it's a bold feat. You know what I mean? It's not for everyone or for anyone, but you guys are spearheading it. I commend you guys. I applaud you guys on that. I would ask, how does that conversation play out in regards to dealing with the youth, dealing with children? Because on a grown-up tip, it's more, I guess, understandable. We can dialogue about it, you and I. But the reason I ask is I have small children as well, and my son and my daughter. I talk to them about it as much as I can, and I'm always trying to figure out how to navigate that conversation. But I think it's essential. What you're saying is key. That we need to, the fathers, the church, the schools, we need to be educating them on it. So I'm just curious of what your thoughts are in regards to the conversation when it's directed at children.
No, I think it's very important to have it with your kids. Because again, like, porn is out there. It's all over the videos. You can't even drive down the highway without seeing, a billboard, or, there's always something out there. So it's good to jump in as soon as possible. Even teenagers, 11, 12, 13, they're being recorded, doing sexual acts, and it's being, spread throughout Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like kiddie porn is trending on Twitter. Like, at certain points. And so like, it's good to jump in before the world catches them and give them the truth. I try to, my son is only 4, and my daughter's 4, my son's 5. I try to teach them like early, like that. Sex isn't bad, but but you need to wait until you're married and stuff like that. So they're not just like a lot of us who like all we got was, don't have sex till you're married. And like, we didn't know that it was a good thing or what. We just knew that we weren't supposed to do it. And so when we found out that it was good, we were like, why can't we do this again? Like, I don't understand. So I think, you kind of grow in what you're willing to reveal to your kids as they get older and as they're able to handle certain stuff. But you try to teach them as young as they're, mature enough to handle, like, sex is good. Like, God created it. That's how you got here. You know what I'm saying? But it's special, and you want to make sure that you save it for that special someone. And and even for us, I think at some point we're gonna end up telling them like, look, we made mistakes. We did this. Daddy did this. Mommy did that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we can tell you from experience that these going down those paths are wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It didn't do anything good for us as a married couple now.
Right.
So yeah, it's very important to us and something that we, continually we're always thinking about and dialoguing with other people about, like, how are we going to talk with our kids about this, and
right.
How soon is too soon for certain stuff and all that. So.
Sure, yeah, man, that's awesome, man. One of the dopest like analogies I've heard on that subject was the analogy of using fire.
Mm-hmm.
I heard on Focus on the Family, which I love. I listen to them all the time. There's some, fire in the right context is a great thing. Fireplace, oven, so on and so forth. But taken out of that context, it becomes deadly, dangerous, horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's what I've been using to talk to my kids, and they're like, "Oh, that makes sense." You know what I mean? So, But yeah, I think the more we talk about it, the less difficult it will be.
Mm-hmm.
And we could kind of take back what the devil stole in the first place, you know what I mean, and take ownership of what's God's, you know what I mean. So again, I commend you guys on that. So what's up with this? Is kind of a general lamp mode music. I know you mentioned you're starting to get back into doing some things. Like what's on your mind as far as next? What's happening with that?
So I'm thinking about, and this isn't solid yet. I haven't talked to any of the producers or anything like that, but one, I'm thinking about putting out some kind of mixtape type of tracks where I just record over something that's previously been released, like I did the 1,000 Deaths, where I spit over D'Angelo's song 1,000 Deaths.
Okay.
I'm thinking about doing a couple more of those just for as freebies, to kind of give out. I got some ideas for stuff that I want to do for that. And I'm also thinking about doing a series of EPs where I work with one producer. Short project, something easy, not easy, but something short and manageable.
Yeah.
Just to put out, just to kind of keep things going. I'm thinking maybe doing 3 of those, but again, it's not solid yet.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just an idea that I have that I'm kind of serious about, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm trying to. I think with every time I end the album, I'm like, so what do I do next? I feel like I said everything, or I feel like, or I'm still in the mentality of with Can I Be Honest, I'm still very much, because of our sexual healing, I'm still very much meditating on and thinking about the ideas from the album still. So it's I don't want to do another Can I Be Honest album, but that's what I'm thinking about right now. So it's always kind of weird trying to transition and so what's the next album going to be, and what's the next project, and how do I think about it, and what can I do to be different, and all that kind of stuff. But I think a series of EPs would be dope. And I'm trying to think through really creative ideas for each one and theme and stuff like that. But but I'm excited about it though. I'm really excited about working on these ideas. If they come out the way I want, and they come out with the certain producers that I have in mind, I think it'll be really dope.
Awesome. Nice. So we can look forward to some new Stephen The Levite music. I'm sure that everyone would be, excited. I know I am. I need more of that in my life. So man, that's a wrap. You could tell them where they could find you and all that good stuff.
You can Google Stephen The Levite with a PH, STEPHEN. I'm on social media everywhere. The albums are wherever music is sold. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, whatever.
C-Town.
Yep. And again, Our Sexual Healing, you can find us on the web. It's Our Sexual Healing without the G, because Twitter and Periscope don't have enough letters. You can find us there, and everywhere else is just Our Sexual Healing. So,
thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
The Musicionary, JesusWire.com. Peace.